So the code that you didn't want to break if you're raising 4 boys out in the woods on the river. Not many rules, but the ones that there were wasn't but 3 main rules we had. The rules were as follows. Never disrespect your mother. Reason. Without her, you wouldn't be here. She brought you forth into this world with pain, I might add. Or at least it looked that way to me when I saw my son being born. I didn't see but one of them. I didn't want to watch the other 3. Miss Kay talked me into watching one. I watched Jep. After that, I saluted women worldwide. I said, they are to be honored and respected, and that's for sure, after going through that. So 1, don't disrespect your mother. If you do, 3 licks. And I wouldn't have cared what the authorities say. 3 licks on their rump. Second, fighting. I don't mind you disagreeing. I don't mind you raising your voice to make a point. Go ahead and raise your voice and make the point. But if it turns into blows, meat popping, pop, pop, I move in with my 4 sons, 3 licks for everyone involved. Bend over the bed. Pop, pop, pop. Not 300, not 10, 3 licks on their rump. It wasn't the amount of punishment, it was the principle. Don't break the code when it comes to getting along with one another and honoring your mother. The third thing was tearing up perfectly good equipment for no good reason. You're young and you're a little stupid in many ways. So you want to have a little fun and you get out there and you take a fine cypress boat paddle and you decide you want to kill a possum with it. So the possum is there and you look around in the boat, you say, well, there's Dad's boat paddle that I'm told not to tear up perfectly good equipment. Boat paddle. I was a commercial fisherman. A paddle, you got to have it because you'll be up the creek without a paddle if someone breaks your paddle. Therefore, you break whoever's trying to break your paddle. You break that up. Don't mess with the boat paddles. Don't mess with good equipment. So that was the code. And amazingly, when I told my children to do something, they did it. You say, with that particular code, did any of your sons, Alan, Jason, Willie Boy, and Jep, did they ever disrespect you at any time? Because you said you can't disrespect your mother, but you never said, also, boys, don't forget, don't disrespect me. I never said that. You know why? I didn't have to. The first 3 did it. Don't disrespect your mother. It was understood there would be no disrespect between my sons and myself. I'm their father. They are to honor their father and mother. And you'll have long life on the earth. That's one of the 10 commandments, for crying out loud. You're like, whoa. Honor your father and mother is one of the top 10 out of all the commands in the Bible. You say, one of them says, honor your father and mother, children. You'll have long life on the earth. I'm looking at America and I'm thinking, I said, man, their children are dying because of lack of discipline. All they need to be is discipline. You're not beating them half to death. It's a principle. 3 licks with a belt on your butt. Give me a break. Oh, that's overdoing it. You know, I think there's another way we can talk it out. I taught school and all those kids who were in school, and I saw how misbehaving they were. And I'm looking at our culture now, going through metal detectors to walk into the school. You say, what's their problem? Didn't have a father who loved them enough to say, these things you don't do. Don't do it. I said it. I will enforce it strictly. right before we came down here on the river, speaking of discipline, to show you what our culture's turned into. I pulled up at a little place where we were living at the time before we moved down here on the river, being the last 40 years. Lived uptown. It was a nightmare. I pulled up one day in my pickup truck, had my rod and reels in the back of my truck. Tackle box, rod and reels, been fishing somewhere. I pull up, go in there where we're living. Well, that evening I went out there and I looked in the back of my truck. I said, where's my rod and reels? I was going to get them, take them inside the house. I looked in there, I said, what happened to my rod and reel? They're gone. Well, I did a little detective work around the little apartment complex there and came up with the culprits. Had somebody that saw them. So I went over there to their apartment, knocked on the door. Their father answered the door. Yeah, how's it going? I said, look, your sons took my rod and reels out of the back of my truck. I said, I need them back. He said, were they locked? I said, no. They were just in the back of my truck. Some personal equipment that I own in the back of my truck. He said, well, what do you expect? I said, what I expect? I expect people to not steal. That's what I expect. I don't want your children stealing from anyone, including me. I want the rod and reels. Let's come up with them. He's argued with me saying, well, if you don't have it under lock and key in a safe, do you actually expect people to walk by and not steal it? I said, that's what I expect. What that father was raising was children who just went around stealing other people's stuff. You know why? Was it locked? Well, no. Well, then it's yours. Just go in the back of a man's truck and get what you want. If he didn't lock it, it's his fault for not locking it, putting it under lock and key. No, it's not. No discipline. Look at America. That's one little story. You look at America, that's America. If it's not chained up, locked down, I mean, well, then you deserve to have your stuff stolen. No, you don't. Children honor their father and mother. Love your neighbor. If you love your neighbor, the last thing you would ever do is steal from him because you love him. They're not taught that. I'll put it in my boys. Do not steal, boys, ever. Love your neighbor. Do you think if they love one another, there would be a shootout in these major cities every night? They don't love each other. You know why? They were never trained to love each other. They just get up in the morning. They'll steal anything that's not tied down. They just get high, get drunk, and get laid and say, I don't know whatever happened. I don't know what the problem is. It's the government's problem, and it's these Bible thumpers' problem. It's this problem and that problem. It's the cops' problem. Everybody's at fault. They're dying for lack of discipline. I'm just some guy that lives on the river telling you what will work. Take it or leave it.